Hi everyone, my name is Abu Hanifa Hamid. So I'm a teacher for our last project, constructing object using metals. Okay, before we start our project, we need to prepare the material first. So if you have a long shaft of metal, first you need to cut it into a short parts. So for example, I'm gonna demonstrate how to use the cut-off machine to cut the metals. Alright. So the purpose of this machine is actually purposely only to cut. Okay. So you put your metals in the clamping area here, and then you can begin your cutting process. Alright. So I'm gonna start. Alright, so after the cutting process, you can see there's a jagged area, so we will remove this after the welding process. Okay guys, so before we start, we have to ensure that we have prepared some of the equipments before we going through the process of welding. So here are few equipments that are compulsory, and some of the equipment is necessary. Alright, the compulsory equipment is first is hand gloves. So it is important to wear on your both hand. And then the welding mask, you can use a welding mask or welding goggles. Alright, the purpose is to protect your eyes from sudden lighting, and this glove is to protect your hands, and lastly the aprons to protect your body. So this is the compulsory, but if you have another equipments, you can add on. For example, long sleeve clothes, and also shoes for heavy works. Alright, so and lastly you need to wear your shoes. Shoes is important because sometimes the beads from the weldings will jump and get into your shoes. In front of us here is the MIG welding machines. So MIG welding machine has two types. First without a gas, and the others is with a gas. So this is the gas type MIG welding machine. It has distinguished features. For example, it has the gas canister here. So if you see any MIG welding machines that has a gas canister, it's a gas type. Now, first, before we start, you have to check the machine first. For example, it has a gas, okay, it has gas, and then it has a power source. So if everything looks fine, and then we can start using the machines. Okay, so we can go back here. In the back of the machine there's a power source. You need to turn on the power source first, and then we move towards the machines. And next you release the gas. Okay, first for the MIG gas welding machine, you must release the gas because this gas as a shield during your welding process. It's the gas is called as shielding gas, and this is a CO2 gas. So you just release by turning the gauge, the knob here. Okay, so you can see that the gauge needle is up, so which means this canister is contain the gas. And then you can move down to the interface of the machine. Alright, the interface of the machine here. As you see, the weld current here didn't appear yet because we didn't turn on the machine. So first turn on the machine. So let it warming up until the sound getting idle. So next, check the voltage. This is the voltage control. Higher the numbers, is higher the voltage. So how to control this voltage is actually based on what project you want to do. If you want to weld solid metal, for example, flat bar and round bar that doesn't have hollow space inside, you can use number 4 upwards until number 8. If you are welding a hollow metal that has a hollow space inside, you use 4 and downwards, 4, 3, 2 and 1. And normally we will start with number 3. And then check the speed, wire speed. So the wire speed is actually determine the speeds of the inert. So this is the inert. If we pull the trigger, the inert will come out. So let's move out. So if you speed up, the wire will speed up, going out from the nozzle. So normally the setting on this interface has been set by the technicians. So you can start if everything looks fine. Okay guys, so we can start our projects. First, you have to ensure that these two things is working. For example, first one is the welding gun, and the second one is ground clamp. So the purpose of ground clamp is actually to let the current going through the projects, and then when we pull the trigger of the welding guns, it lets the current go through and melt and fuse the material. Okay, the material of the two parts of metals. So first, before you start your project, if you will do your works alone, you will need some assist. Maybe any assisting product. For example, you can use the L clamp to assist you to ensure that you clamping the material correctly in 90-degree angles. And also you can use a magnetic assisting clamp. So this is the magnetic so it will keep your metals in the position before you start welding. If everything seems alright, and you can start weld your project. So you need to put the ground clamp on any bare surface of the projects. So bare surface means that it has no coating. Without coating, for example, if this surface has paint, you need to remove the paint first to ensure that this ground clamp able to let the current going through your projects. Okay, and then now before you start, it is suggested that you to do some groundwork first. For example, try to do some tack welding. Tack welding means very short welding, just to check if the current is in correct settings, the voltage in the correct settings. So I think we can start. Okay guys, so before you start, it is recommended for you to test the setting first. So you can use any scratch metal here, you can pick from the dustbin or anywhere. So make sure the surface is bare, I mean it's clean, without any coating of paints or dust. Alright, so first you can try your welding first. For example, this inert is quite long, so you cannot start. You can start, but it will make your project a little bit in mess. So remove the inert first. Alright, so you can test by the tack welding. Tack welding means a short tap of the trigger, about 0.5 seconds. Okay, for example. Okay, so this is just to test if the setting of the machine is correct. But here, if you pay close the details here, Actually, when the weldings result in a brittle surface like this, it means that the gas is not correctly released. Okay, so when you want to start your project, try to pull the trigger and you can hear a gas hissing. Okay, which means the gas is on, so you can start try tapping. So a short tap welding is like 0.5 seconds, just to check if everything went correctly. So if everything went well, so you can start welding your projects. Okay, this one is brittle without the gas, and this will cause structural integrity problems when you weld. So this is the better one with the gas, so it has a fine surface finish. Alright, when you want to start your welding process, first you have to understand the thickness of the material first. For example, the thickness of the edge of this hollow parts here, for example like this one, is very thin. So you can welding on that parts, but it might the welding might going through and melt your metals, and it's causing some holes in your surface. So the best way is you start welding on the thicker side. For the this side, the thicker side that has two surfaces here. Okay, you better tilt little bit your welding gun about 10 to 15 degrees. Alright, so let the inlet going to this side. Okay, so it will touch this part, and then it will fuse to the another parts. In this setting, I use number 3. The voltage is set to number 3, so we better start with lower voltage. So I start with tack welding. Tack welding is actually to keep these two pieces of metal together, just to keep it first, to avoid it from moving. Okay, so we tack welding first. Alright, so I tack welding first. Okay, so if you look closely, this is the tack welding, the very small tack, just to keep the object in positions. Alright, and then you put another tack welding on this side. Okay, so after you put the tack welding, you can release the clamp. So see, it doesn't move, it stays. So you can do to the other side. Alright, so when you successfully keep the two pieces of this metal in place, then now you can move to the another stage, which the stage is to continuously weld and to close the gap between these two parts of metals. So the direction is actually, it is recommended to weld by this direction. Okay, this direction, not like this one, because in this position you cannot see the exact position where the innards will touch with the metals. So in this position you can see the exact position, and you can easily maneuver your welding guns in the straight lines. Alright, so just keep in mind the position is along the gaps. Okay, along the gaps, not against the gaps. Okay, so you just keep in mind that you maintain the rhythm. For example, 1, 2, 3. For example, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can control the welding bit. Welding bit means the bumps here. Alright. So about 1 second. One trigger about 1 second. Okay. So you can start. I'm gonna start welding right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right. So you can see here it's connected already. Okay. It's connected already and it's quite straight. So it's a good weld. Now you can take the meat to the other side. Okay, so if you wearing these welding helmets or welding goggles, so you can see exactly where you place your nozzle guns on these metals. So that's why welding helmets is compulsory. And if you look here, this seams and this welding looks fine. So we can move to the another step. So the next step is to remove the bumps here, which purposely to refine the space, to smoothen the space.